This segment is sponsored by National Kidney Foundation.
Well, our next guest has an incredible story. Not only is she a two-time kidney transplant recipient, but believe it or not, a transplant surgeon at the University of Maryland Medical Center. Please let's welcome Dr. Silke Needer Haus to talk to us about KidneyMD.org. All right, Dr. Needer Haus, now I understand that you are a two-time kidney recipient, right? Can you talk about your story and tell us why living donor kidney transplants are so important?
Sure. Thanks for having me today. I had kidney disease since I was 8. I caught a strep throat infection, and people believe that that led to kidney failure when I was very young. I started dialysis when I was 11 years old and found a deceased donor kidney in Germany after about 9 months of dialysis. So children get priority pretty much in any country for transplantation. So that kidney unexpectedly lasted 30 years by taking good care of it.
Wow.
And after 30 years, that kidney started failing. I lived with kidney failure, but not quite on dialysis for the following 5 years. And at the point when it became close to starting on dialysis, I started a living donor campaign. Living donor kidney transplants are the best treatment for people with end-stage kidney disease. And that is because the kidneys are the healthiest that you can find, so they work immediately, making recovery from surgery easier, and they also last longer than kidneys from the list.
All right, amazing story. So March is National Kidney Month. What is the focus or theme for this year?
Well, we're trying to focus on educating the American people that 33% of people are at risk for kidney disease. And so we have a big campaign going that's called Are You the 33%? So there are a lot of risk factors for kidney disease. Diabetes and high blood pressure are two of them, but kidney diseases can also run in families, and it's not something that is commonly screened for. So we encourage everyone to think about your kidneys, think about how important they are, and trust me, they are important. Life with kidney failure is miserable. So take good care of your kidneys.
All right, for sure. So how do people find a kidney donor?
Well, finding a kidney donor is a very tricky thing to do if you have kidney failure, but on the other hand, you have to learn that it's not always family that makes for the best donor. So, and not having a perfectly matching person is okay too. The most important thing is to be willing to speak about kidney disease. I think there's a lot of publicity out on things like cancer and heart disease and many other illnesses. But I think people with kidney disease are generally just so tired and feel sad about their life that nobody really goes out and says, kidney disease is a big deal. I mean, if 1 out of 3 people are at risk and 1 out of 7 actually develop kidney failure in their lifetime, that's a lot of people. So finding a donor, you have to just go out and ask friends and family, tell friends and family that you have kidney failure and the best treatment for you would be to find a living donor. And then you have to encourage them to keep telling all their friends and family by whatever means, right? Whether that's social media, whether that's email, whether that's in person. That you really need a kidney transplant, and that if anyone has ever thought about being a kidney donor, that, hey, I have a friend who needs one, so let me connect you.
All right, now the COVID-19 pandemic, right, has affected things globally. What impact has this had on people who are impacted by kidney disease?
Well, I think it depends. In terms of patients who have renal failure who are on peritoneal dialysis, probably they switch to televisits and continue doing peritoneal dialysis, which is done through the abdomen at home. People who do hemodialysis still had to go to the center, and so every time they go, obviously healthcare precautions there were in place, and they're pretty strict to start with because infections on hemodialysis are a very bad thing to happen. So I think in terms of those two treatments, nothing much has changed. Obviously, for those patients who are transplant recipients, we've encouraged them to be extra careful because COVID-19 will be more severe in most transplant recipients, not all. So, following the usual instructions of distancing, mask wearing, hand washing, being extra safe, right, about everything that you do. If you need a kidney transplant, it's still a great time to get transplanted, whether with a deceased donor or with a living donor. And that's simply because there is mortality associated with kidney failure. So anytime you can escape dialysis and switch to transplant, there's generally a benefit to survival.
Okay, Dr. Needer Haus, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.